Welcome, I'm Coach Dave, former Green Beret, now strength and conditioning coach. If you're an athlete that's wanting to improve your strength and endurance simultaneously, you've come to the right place. Today we're talking about the big week, race week, specifically a marathon, but the principles can apply to any other race distance as well for this, training hybrid athlete style with both strength and endurance. We're gonna go over 4 things in this video. Number 1, your endurance calendar. Day by day, I'm gonna go over just a weekly template that you can just scale up or down depending on your experience level. Number 2, we're gonna talk about strength training, how easy it should be, very specific exercise choices, and I'm gonna demonstrate a lot of those for you. This isn't gonna take away from your endurance performance, it's gonna improve it, all right? So you don't wanna just do nothing strength training wise on race week. Number 3, we're gonna talk about recovery. And I'm gonna give you a 3-phase or a 3-day protocol to do recovery wise, where you wanna do it in order so that you feel your best on your race. And lastly, and everybody's favorite, number 4 is gonna be carb loading. How much more carbs to take in before your race, how many days I recommend, and some just specific food choices to go along with that. So follow along and I'll walk you through it. Your calendar. 7 days out, you should still be feeling some fatigue, but you're on the tail end of that fatigue. You may still have some leg soreness. Your recovery metrics likely are going back in the right direction. But really, you're kind of just at baseline fitness at this point. And then over the next week, you're just gonna, it's called super compensation, and you are gonna just boost your performance tremendously and feel too good to be true by race day. So 7 days out, you should have your long, last, easy run. All right, this should be anywhere between 8 to 10 miles, depending on whatever level runner you are. And I really recommend that it should just be zone 2 only. 6 days out, we're gonna have a recovery treadmill walk, zone 1, or just a rest day, depending on how many days you've been training. I've been doing 7 training days per week, with 2 of them just being zone 1 recovery for this whole train up. So I just did a zone 1 recovery treadmill walk, where I just set the pace just a little bit slower than a 15-minute mile pace, and then I adjusted the incline to get my heart rate just very low end zone 1. Monday, your last marathon intensity session, okay? This is done at zone 3, very easy mouth breathing, and you're gonna just open up with the marathon pace that you've kind of just figured out over the last month, where you are just running at that intensity and you've figured out what pace that you could hold. For me, I think it's gonna be about a 7.5 mile pace. So I opened up with that. It was just a 50-minute session where I did a 20-minute warm-up, 20 minutes at marathon intensity, so not very long at all, and then a 10-minute cool down. In that 10-minute cool down, I did 3 pickup sprints, 10 seconds. In this last week, we really need to just prime the body for speed again. It's called running economy, or how efficient your body can move, at speeds quickly. And a lot of us feel sluggish after doing so much just moderate intensity over the last month and a half, and we haven't done very many sprints since our base building phase. So we need to get the body moving quick so that it can very easily and effortlessly, gracefully run quicker, and it's just gonna improve your running efficiency. So I drop out plyometrics altogether for my strength training this week. Some runners I have keep in plyometrics and do less sprints, but I'm doing sprints 3 times this week. Monday, Wednesday, and then just a few on Friday. And they'll get easier as the week progresses. But on Monday, I did 3 10-second sprints. That was yesterday. And then Today is just a zone 1 recovery treadmill walk, which is what I'm doing now on Tuesday. And again, I'm taking it easy, same exact instructions as what I did on Sunday, just to recover from that high intensity, marathon intensity workout yesterday. Wednesday, I'm gonna just have an even shorter zone 2 run. And at the end of them, I'm gonna do strides, which is very similar to a pickup sprint, but instead of 90% of max sprint speed for those 3 sprints, I'm gonna do about 80, 85 sprint speed, and I'm gonna do 15 seconds. And I'm not even jogging in between each of these. I'm doing it at the very end of the run, and I'm just walking slowly and fully recovering in between each of these strides at the end of the run. Okay, Thursday, another short, easy zone 1 to 2 run where I'm trying to relax. Friday, this is called a shakeout run, the day before the marathon. Only 20, 25 minutes. It's essentially just warming up your aerobic system, priming your central nervous system for speed, because I'm gonna do, again, only 3 strides at the end of this. Only 15 seconds long, where the first 5 seconds is just kind of building into getting up to that speed. And again, only 80, 85% of max sprint speed, which is still, you know, about a couple minutes per mile faster, you know, than my marathon intensity pace or my marathon race pace. And then that is just gonna prime your legs to feel good. It's not gonna take away from anything on your actual race if it's on Saturday. In my last video, I showed you what my last lower body strength training session was gonna be 2 weeks out from my marathon. That was actual resistance training loaded up with weight. So check out that video, because this week on Monday, the same day that I did my marathon intensity run, I did the same session, just body weight on everything, and I took the plyometrics out of it. Tuesday, after I did my zone 1 treadmill walk, in the afternoon, I did my last upper body strength training session, which was darn near like half the weight that I normally do on everything. Normally I have one day where I'm working on bench press and pull-ups and accessories for those. And then another day I'm working on overhead press and bent over row. I just combined those days, did like 1 set of everything, super easy. Now it's Wednesday. I just did my zone 2 run, you know, with those strides just an hour ago, and I'm gonna knock out my last gym strength training session. It's gonna be very easy. You know, it's my plyometric and hip accessory day that I'm just doing body weight of everything, very easy. And again, I'm taking the plyometrics out of that since I just did the sprints. I'm starting out with floating heel single leg balance. This is one of the best exercises that I've ever done to really improve just how I strike the ground, because it really strengthens your toes and your arches of your feet. Single leg hip thrusts explosively. Just trying to fire up those glutes, really extend that hip, most important muscle of the lower body. Then I'm just doing some very easy jumping split squats, just trying to maintain balance on both the right and then the left side of my hips. Very important for running, which is essentially just alternating lunges for miles. Then we got standing lateral leg kicks with that knee band, toe pointed forward. I really need to make sure that my glute med and the outside of my hip is strong for running so that our hips don't collapse and just shift to the right and left when we run. I'm skipping my pogo jumps and bounds. Then I'm doing standing hip adduction for the groin. This is gonna strengthen the other inside of my hip, and it's also, I'm gonna be working balance as well. One of my favorite hip accessory exercises, 90-90 hip transitions, leaning back with 2 bands attached overhead to a barbell very high up on the rack. I'm working both internal and external rotation at the same time. Hip airplanes to strengthen my balance and connect that balance from my foot to my hip rotator muscles. I'm not forgetting about the hip flexor with these banded knee drives, just driving up and forward, trying to keep a good posture. Lastly, I'm finishing up with just one set of bodyweight starfish side planks to just continue strengthening the outside of my hip, and I'm getting some Copenhagen side planks, again strengthening the groin, and then also the obliques for both of these side planks. And then that's it. This only took like 15 minutes, in, out, and I'm just kind of keeping everything balanced and prime. Now we're gonna talk about recovery. I go in 3-day cycles. 3 days out, I'm gonna do deep tissue. This includes foam rolling. I've got a scraping tool, which is essentially like a rounded piece of metal that really digs deep into some scar tissue. Massage guns. You can use a barbell, the end of a barbell, to roll yourself out. And this is just gonna break apart all the knots and the scar tissue in your fascia, which is just, you know, surrounding your muscles, and it's all connective tissue, and it's just gonna loosen everything up. But you don't wanna do this the day before your race, because you're gonna be sore from it the next day, and you're gonna have a little bit of bruising. 2 days out, today, I'm doing some deep stretching. So long, usually about 2 minutes per stretch. Right now I'm sitting on my shins and getting a good quad and a good shin stretch, and I'm just going for a couple minutes. So hit all the muscle groups, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, calves, groin, rotate your trunk, things like that. I've got some great routines, so check those out. 1 day out, it's gonna turn into much more dynamic mobility, or otherwise known as, people think about this as yoga a lot of times. So now just moving around, stretching slowly, but not holding for long periods of time. A little bit more active, a little bit, you know, harder to do the yoga type routines, but that's really gonna help everything stay active, and it's gonna improve your mobility 1 day out. The carb load. Everybody loves the idea of it, and then they're absolutely sick of carbs by race day. I'm gonna show you how to do it well, and to do it where you're just not gonna be uncomfortable, because you're just not filling your body with all the crappy breads and just whatever you want carb-wise. So normally I eat 300 to 400 grams of carbs. For the carb load, I'm gonna up it to 600 to 700 grams of carbs. So anywhere 200 to 300 grams more than you would normally eat. So just adjust accordingly. So these are all of my normal staples, everyday food, high nutrient dense, okay? Fruits, potatoes. I have sweet potatoes here, but I just go back and forth with that. And regular potatoes, lots of potassium in potatoes. Oats, I go with usually 1 serving of multi-grain bread a day. Beet juice, orange juice before my runs. I usually mix my oats and my granola together with some milk, and then of course some honey diced in there as well. So all these are very easily digestible, high nutrient dense foods. So to add in my extra 200 grams, pretty simple. 2 cups of dry rice. You know, I add in the rice. Sometimes I'll have rice normally, but I try to earn my rice and not just have it as a staple, because there's no nutrients other than carbs. It's not bad for you, but you know, it's just not a complete carb source in my opinion, because there's really no vitamins and minerals in it. And then in between my meals, I just got different juices. All I have right now is pineapple juice and apple juice, but you can go with whatever juice you want, because it's really easy to drink your carbs at the end of the day. And it's easy as that, you know, like these, rice especially, there's hardly, well, there's no fiber in this white rice, so it's gonna digest really well. It's not gonna just increase the volume of your belly a whole lot, because it's a good clean carb. And that'll allow you to feel great and not bloated on race day. And then just do it anywhere from 2 to 3 days out from your race. So a good solid 2 days I usually find works for me, but a lot of people go with 3 days. So figure out what works for you. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up, that like button, helps me out a lot more than you realize. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep an eye out for my next video, which is gonna be race day. So you know everything I consume morning of, race day strategy. We'll see what kind of clips we can get from it. You know, it's gonna be 20 degrees hotter than it was expected. So, you know, it's gonna be a fight, but you know what? We adapt and we overcome to obstacles. We're smart about it, and we're gonna just push ourselves to our absolute limit. Let's go.